There is a growing excitement around Tata Capital's forthcoming IPO. But behind the rupees 825 grey market price tag, what's the real story? In this video, we will break down Tata Capital's loan book, its performance versus Bajaj Finance versus HDB, and why its rights issue price could be the biggest clue yet. Stay till the end. This might just change the way you look at NBFC IPOs. Let's start with Tata Capital's loan book after merging with Tata Motors Finance, a move that brings vehicle lending dominance into play. Now, retail finance brings the biggest chunk. 62% of the loan book, is parked in retail loans. SME finance is around 26%, and corporate finance is around 11%. Now, if you look at these two, now around 37% of the book parked in on the corporate side, which is slightly a risky bet. Now if you look at the retail book, this 62%, now the major chunk is the LAP, loan against property, which is around 11%. Now second is the commercial vehicle, this is also around 11%, and third is the personal loan, this is around 7%. Now commercial vehicle and personal loan, these two are also very risky segment. So if you look at the book of Tata's, we don't see mortgages there. In many NBFCs, mortgages are becoming a bigger part because that is very secured and very stable, for the long term. So a big chunk of the book of Tata Capital looks to be on the riskier side. Now only the big change that had happened recently is the merger of Tata Motors Finance into Tata Capital. Now that is effective from May 2025, and this company largely functioned as a captive finance arm of Tata Motors, focusing on financing buyers of Tata Motors, commercial vehicle and personal. It also had a small used car, vertical also. So post merger, Tata Capital is now integrating this vehicle finance platform and is now diversifying the product offering, while leveraging the company's distribution network and customer base. So अगर retail finance देखें, आने वाले दिनों में कौन से प्रोडक्ट आ सकते हैं, तो एक है एजुकेशन लोन, जिस पे टाटा कैपिटल काफ़ी फोकस कर रहा है. तो आने वाले दिनों में हम देखेंगे हाउ दे स्केल अप द एजुकेशन लोन पोर्टफोलियो. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट दिस साइड, द माइक्रो फाइनेंस. Now microfinance is something they have started targeting from 2022, but in the last 2 years we have seen what happened to the microfinance companies or even the banks that were doing microfinance. A lot of NPAs are now coming from the microfinance book. So this will also be very challenging for Tata Capital in the years to come. ये एक चार्ट है Tata Capital versus HDB Financial, which got recently listed, and Bajaj Finance, which is a well-established NBFC in India. So the benchmark will be Bajaj Finance, and a peer group will be HDB Financial, which got recently listed. So we'll compare on 5-6 parameter and see which is more efficient and which is more better in terms of the financials. So despite being 18-year-old, Tata Capital, it is still finding its footing. Now Bajaj Finance, which is tech-led model and stronger ROE, is miles ahead. So now let's look at the number. AUM, Tata Capital is 2.2 lakh crore, HDB is 1.0 lakh crore, and Bajaj Finance is 4.41 lakh crore. Now Bajaj Finance has a long history, 39 years, but it scaled up its business only in the last 17-18 years. Tata Capital is also an 18-year-old company. Now see how the Bajaj has scaled up, almost double in terms of AUM. So Tata Capital is not very aggressive in the market. The way we have seen the Bajaj Finance rolling out various consumer products. Now second is total income. It reflects the size of the AUM, 28,000 crore, 16,000 crore, and 44,954 crore. PAT 3,600 to 176 and 16,000. Almost like 5x. Bajaj Finance, the net profit is 5x. Now let's look at ROE, which is a very important parameter for equity shareholder. Tata Capital has a ROE of around 11%. HDB has 15%, and Bajaj Finance has got 19%, almost double of Tata Capital. So if you are expecting a valuation of Tata Capital around Bajaj Finance, but let's look at the ROEs. Bajaj Finance is far ahead. you know. So accordingly, you have to adjust your expectation, on the valuation side. NIMs, 5.2, 7.6 and 12.7. Both are way ahead of, this thing, Tata Capital. Gross NPA 2.33, 2.26, 1.0. Again, PCR, the provisioning coverage is 65, 55 and 54. Now here, Tata Capital is doing well, but their NPAs are also very high. So PCR reflects that, because of higher delinquencies, they have to keep a higher provision. And finally, cost to income 42, 42 and 34. Now, look at Bajaj, the cost to income is 34%. And then look at Tata Capital and HDB, both have a very high, cost to income. So a higher, cost to income ratio shows that Tata Capital hasn't yet unlocked, cost synergies or tech-driven efficiencies, that Bajaj enjoys. Operations are still heavy and manual. Digital transformation and branch productivity needs attention. Similarly, the NIMs, Tata Capital has got much lower NIMs than HDB. So this indicates, lower pricing power, higher cost of borrowing, especially as 54% of its borrowing are at fixed rates. So should I invest in Tata Capital IPO? Or is the Tata Capital IPO overhyped? Now that's the big question which every investor is asking. So now this is the valuation chart where we have compared Tata Capital with HDB Financial and Bajaj Finance, and we have taken the price in the unofficial market, which is around 825, for Tata Capital. And this price of 825 per share is reported on some platforms like Penify, Share Start, Unlisted Zone. Now all these three platforms, they have listed the grey market price of around 825 to 1000 rupees. So that gives Tata Capital a PE of 30x, a price to book of more than 3, and now let's compare these three numbers. So the market cap of HDB comes up to be around 61. This is 5.41 lakh crore. This is 1.1. Now let's look at PE, price to earning. HDB is getting 28, Bajaj Finance is getting 31, and Bajaj, Tata Capital is getting 30x. Now, if you look at the ROE, Bajaj Finance is also almost doubled of Tata Capital. If you look at the NIMs, Bajaj Finance is almost doubled of Tata Capital. HDFC is way ahead. So should Tata Capital gets a PE of 30x at 825 price? We don't know the price today, but we are just assuming it to be around grey market. Now price to book. This is 3.6x, this is 5.6x, this is 3.2 to 3.6x. Now again here it is getting almost the same pricing in HDB Financial, where HDB Financial looks far better than Tata Capital. ROE that we have seen earlier also, 19, they have got 10%. Book value 25, 156, 132. So some investor, they view this as a red flag, suggesting uncertainty around IPO pricing. Others see it as a shareholder friendly, offering insiders and the existing investor, steep entry point, before, public listing. But here we must look at the, July 2025 rights issue, where, the Tata Capital, offered is share at 343 per share. So pricing has to be between 350 to 800, maybe a middle path around, let's say 550 or 600 rupees. So we are not taking any call on the valuation or on the pricing. This video is only for educational purposes, that is to show you the real picture, but do consult your financial advisor before investing in the Tata Capital IPO. So here is the verdict. Tata Capital is growing fast, but margins are thin and efficiency is lagging, and the valuation premium needs justification. So before you invest, watch these three signals very closely. NIM, net interest margins, ROE, the return on equity, and the rights issue discounting. Because in IPOs, the fine print always matters than the front page headline.
Hey everyone, only 1 in 10 viewers actually subscribes to our channel. If you're part of the 90%, change that today. Help us grow and hit the subscribe button.